Ranking the top 5 quarterbacks in the NFL heading into the 2025 season. We're talking the NFL's best signal callers, and we are each giving you our list of 5. And I'm going to go first because I'm going to piss everyone off right away, but I really don't care. It is what I believe as of this moment. My 5th ranked quarterback in the NFL is Joe Burrow, ladies and gentlemen. Joe Burrow. And again, we talked about this on a previous episode after the Super Bowl. I talked about I had my number 4 guy above the number 5 guy, and I'm sticking to it right now because, again, nothing has happened to change my mind at this point. I got Jalen Hurts at number 4. I think Jalen Hurts is a better quarterback than Joe Burrow as of right now. Again, the regular season numbers are pretty similar. Then when you go to the playoff numbers, you go to the Super Bowl numbers, it far outweighs for Jalen Hurts. He's the better quarterback in the playoffs and the Super Bowl. Now, granted, he has the better supporting cast, but again, that's not an excuse. We have the guy who I'm going to list as number 1 has consistently had a better supporting cast than just about anybody in the NFL. And again, everybody considers him the number 1 quarterback in the NFL. So I'm not going to penalize Jalen Hurts for the same thing that we give passes to other quarterbacks for. I think Jalen Hurts is slightly better, especially when the stakes get the biggest, than Joe Burrow. So I've got Jalen Hurts at 4. I got Joe Burrow at 5. At 3, I have Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is the best regular season quarterback in the NFL. He's the new Aaron Rodgers. He's the new Peyton Manning. When it comes to regular season quarterbacks, Lamar Jackson dominates. Now, when it gets to the postseason, that's the reason why he's number 3, because he always seems to have one of his worst games of the entire season in the playoffs, and it cost them the game. Now, seemed like it was a step in the right direction this year in Buffalo. He had a better game, but again, he still had 2 big turnovers that helped cost them that game as well. So my number 2 quarterback is a good blend of high quality playoff performance and high quality regular season performance. I got Josh Allen as my 2nd best quarterback in the NFL. He consistently performs in the regular season, the reigning regular season MVP from 2024, and he also puts up numbers in the playoffs. However, he just so happens to get beat by my number 1 quarterback in the NFL basically every single year in the playoffs, and it's still Patrick Mahomes. Regardless of what you want to say about him, he's been subpar in the last 2 regular seasons, not up to his standard, but in the playoffs, he always seems to show up, and he always seems to get that team to the Super Bowl, whether they deserve to be there or not. So again, my top 5 list, I got Joe Burrow at 5. I got Jalen Hurts at 4, Lamar Jackson at 3, Josh Allen at 2, and Patrick Mahomes at 1. What do you guys have to say about that?
It's wrong. I mean, there's no other way to say it. It's a wrong list. Joe, it's a wrong list, Joe.
You're wrong.
It's a wrong list, Joe. I'm going to let you go.
Yeah. It's my problem is that we continue to reward Patrick Mahomes even when he plays subpar. We acknowledge it. And, the funny thing is that I remember a lot of the times in these quarterback rankings, regardless of how Tom Brady had played that year, when he played like ass, we penalized him for it. There were many a time where Tom Brady wasn't the number 1 quarterback in the league, and he turns out to be the GOAT. So I think that we have to take that into consideration. Patrick Mahomes is not number 1 heading into 2025. Patrick Mahomes is a top 5 quarterback. I'll say that. You could argue that he might not be a top 5 quarterback based on some of the performances we said, but he's the top 5 in my list. Number 5, though, I'm going with the guy going into year 2 who surprised everybody, who really showed that he was the answer there in Washington. Jaden Daniels. Jaden Daniels absolutely performed head over heels, significantly better than a lot of people thought he could. He was a top 5 quarterback in a lot of key stats. Specifically, he didn't have a lot of turnover-worthy plays. He was 2nd in turnover-worthy play percentage, 4th in PFF grade, 4th in total QBR, 6th in completion percentage, right? He was 10th in TDs and 10th in INTs, which means he didn't turn the ball over very often. He was top 10 in all of those things for fewest interceptions and fewest touchdowns. He's my number 4 quarterback. Bar none, hands down. And that's not even taking into account the rushing ability here. These are just passing statistics. And I look at that because I believe that when you look at quarterback rankings, although rushing is capability, I don't think it should influence too much what they do. Now we look at Patrick Mahomes, who is my number 4 quarterback in my top 5 ranking, 10th in PFF grade, 8th in total QBR, 7th in yards, 9th in completion percentage, 9th in touchdowns, 14th in INTs, middle of the pack, which was a bad year, down year, one of his worst years in turnovers, and 7th in turnover-worthy play percentage. All right. So Patrick Mahomes in his worst year, from a taking care of the football perspective, drops him to 4th. I think we can all agree with that he had a very down year. Josh Allen is my number 3 quarterback. He was 5th in PFF grade, 2nd in total QBR, 14th in yards, 19th in completion percentage, 7th in TDs, 5th in INTs, and 13th in turnover-worthy play percentage. I like Josh Allen. I like the capabilities he's done, and he is good for the Bills. And I think he played better than Patrick Mahomes did. Number 2 is the guy who probably didn't get enough love in the NFL because his team was absolute dog shit. And he had to literally carry them every step of the way and still lost games in just gut-wrenching fashion. It's Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is the second best quarterback in the league heading into 2025. Second in PFF grade, third in total QBR, first in yards, fourth in completion percentage, first in TDs, 10th in INTs, and fifth in turnover-worthy play percentage. His play speaks for itself. Just because the team was dog shit doesn't mean that he did not play out of this world last year. And number one, 2024 MVP, guy who is top dog in just about every statistical category you can put him in, and the play spoke for itself. And granted, to Matt's point, doesn't show up in the playoffs. But you know what? It's a regular season ranking. That's what I look at it. Look at a regular season ranking.
Who said it was a regular season ranking?
I said it's a regular season ranking. I said it was.
Just made that up.
And here's the thing, right? One game to me is not going to influence my thing. The guy is an MVP. MVP candidate at the quarterback position, which is a quarterback award now. Just rename it to the best quarterback in the league award. Doesn't need to be MVP. Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in heading into 2025, bar none, hands down.
Wow.
Reigning MVP, first in PFF grade, first in total QBR, sixth in yards, 11th in completion percentage, second in TDs, second in INTs, and first in turnover-worthy play percentage. Okay? Damn near everything he did was either first or second. And he won an MVP. And we're going to sit here and act like, oh, he doesn't deserve to be number one because he lost in the playoffs because Mark Andrews can't catch a fucking football. Ugh. Really? We're going to do that?
He lost the game last year because he had two giant turnovers that cost them the game. Obviously, Mark Andrews greatly helped that scenario.
The Lamar allegations are for real. Yeah, they're
not in that situation.
I made half the Lamar allegations. I said he's the greatest regular season quarterback. You can go back and check it on this segment. We got a video about it. I made it. It was me. I compared him to Tony Romo in the playoffs because that's what he is.
What are we arguing about?
How is he the number one QB?
Yeah, then how is he number one? You can't put a quarterback who consistently underperforms.
You just compared him to Tony Romo.
Yeah,
what
that's crazy.
That's a crazy comparison.
The numbers speak for themselves. You watch him play. You know what
fantastic.
You got. You watched Patrick Mahomes play last year. You watched Patrick Mahomes play last year. You go, that's the number one quarterback in the NFL right there. That's the number one guy.
I watched them both. I watched them both in the playoffs, and I said Patrick Mahomes is still better. That's what I did.
Hold on, time out.
There's so many things that come into this, right? There's so many different aspects that come into it. Again, we say Patrick Mahomes had a down year. I agree he had a down year. The Chiefs were 15-1 and were in the Super Bowl. That's Patrick Mahomes' down year. That's why he's still my number one quarterback, because his down year is better than most quarterbacks, some Hall of Fame's quarterbacks' best years. Like, that's how good Patrick Mahomes is.
Wins are not a quarterback stat. Who said that, Sammy? Who on this segment said wins are not a quarterback stat?
Wasn't me. It was you, Samuel L.
I did say that. I did. However, if I could just go ahead and get my piece in, you know what I mean? Just go ahead and give my little spiel. At number 5, I know this is going to be a hot take. This is going to be this is a guy, I know he's if man for the most part. But I'm still holding my stocks on to Justin Herbert. I know he didn't perform.
My list is bad.
Hold on.
In the world?
Hold on. Let me explain. First of all, Justin Herbert, I understand, he has not performed in the playoffs, but we're giving the benefit of the doubt to Lamar Jackson. He's still top 5. I think and then Joe Burrow hasn't been this god tier performer in the playoffs either. We're still putting him in the top 5. I'd say Justin Herbert, he has the arm talent. He has the accuracy. He's done everything right. Now, granted, in the playoffs, it hasn't worked out, and we're still waiting on that. I think it will work out eventually. That's why I'm sticking him still in that top 5. I think Jalen Hurts being the worst passer of all the top 10 QBs, which is where I have him, top 10 QBs, it matters. It does indeed matter. I understand he's a good runner of the football. He's a fantastic runner of the football, and I don't think he gets enough credit for that. I still don't think he's top 5. I think if you have the best running back in the league, one of the best receiving cores in the league, and the best offensive line in the league, it makes it work. You're still a top 10 quarterback. I'm not disrespecting Jalen Hurts at all whatsoever by not putting him in with these names. I just think that Justin Herbert is just a better quarterback overall. I just think he is. Let me go to my number 4 before Matt jumps in here. Number 4, I think, is Joe Burrow. I think Joe Burrow, he was fantastic last year. He probably could have been the MVP had he had even a smidge better of a defense, but unfortunately that's not how the cookie crumbles. Joe Burrow is, in my opinion, the second best pure passer in this in this top 5, but I do think that there are other quarterbacks who have so many other things going for them that it doesn't matter how pure of a passer Joe Burrow is. He still isn't that good of a player. Number 3, Lamar Jackson. Look, Lamar Jackson, I think this is a perfect spot for him. I think he is a Hall of Fame regular season player, but the allegations are still there in the playoffs. They've been there since he arrived back in 2018. We're entering 2025. I still think top 3 isn't a bad spot to be in at all. He's he's a good to great passer. He's an elite runner of the football. He's electric, the best running QB we've ever seen. Number 2 is going to shock the both of you, Patrick Mahomes. Patrick Mahomes he's been too subpar the last 2 regular seasons for me to put him at number 1. I think of it like this. There were seasons where Tom Brady was not the best QB in the NFL. It was Peyton Manning. Well, I think this year in 2025, we can confidently say Josh Allen has had too many good seasons in a row, has performed too often in the playoffs, and has had so many small things not go his way. He has outperformed Patrick Mahomes the last 2 seasons. I think Josh Allen right now is the best QB in football. I think he's an elite. I think he's a great passer. I think he's a fantastic runner. I think Josh Allen I understand, he hasn't won the big one yet, but we all can agree he's an amazing playoff performer. I know this is crazy, like me putting Patrick Mahomes at number 2, being the Patrick Mahomes guy on the show. But I think Josh Allen has been way too great to deny him. I still think Patrick Mahomes overall, in my mind, is greater and he wins more, but winning isn't a QB stat. We've seen Josh Allen perform in the playoffs plenty of times, though. So that's my top 5, man. Justin Herbert.
Listen,
that top 5?
Listen, don't get me started. I'm gonna address Mahomes and Allen real quick before I get to Justin Herbert. I get what you're saying, that Josh Allen's been more consistent as far as he's just been better in the regular season the last few years. But every single year it gets to the playoffs, and every single year Patrick Mahomes is just a little bit better than Josh Allen in the playoffs. And again, when I have a guy who I know is just going to raise his level consistently in the postseason and basically almost, unless he plays Jalen Hurts, outplays everyone in the postseason, I'm going to take that guy. That's who I want as my quarterback. And Patrick Mahomes still does that unless it's with Jalen Hurts. And now comes to my second issue with your list is that freaking Justin Herbert is in the top 5. This has got to be the most Madden highlights, over exaggeration of somebody's talent ranking in the history of the NFL. You talked about, we still got Lamar Jackson at the top. Lamar Jackson is a 2-time MVP. Should have been 3-time MVP last year. Justin Herbert has never been an all-pro, let alone an MVP. That's not even the same thing. And I've actually seen Lamar Jackson actually perform okay in the playoffs. I've seen Justin Herbert blow a 4-touchdown lead to Trevor Lawrence in the playoffs and throw 4 picks against maybe one of the worst teams that made the playoffs last year in the Houston Texans. So again, I need to see Justin Herbert last year as well. He threw 2 picks in the regular season. Congratulations. You were just turning around, hand the ball off in the Jim Harbaugh offense the entire time, not doing nothing. So again,
ironic of you to say that about being in just Jalen Hurts. But
guess what? You want to know what Jalen Hurts does in the playoffs? Freaking performs every single time. So again, I'd rather have the guy who performs in the playoffs as opposed to the size and talent merchant that is Justin Herbert. He has done literally nothing to justify a top 5 ranking at this point. If next year he performs a little bit in the playoffs and he has a good regular season, okay, we can rediscuss this issue. But right now, you cannot have Justin Herbert as a top 5 quarterback. You just can't. It's not allowed.
I did it. Me, guys.
That's not allowed.
That's the guy.
I agree with Matt. I also disagree that Patrick Mahomes is number 1 because for the same reasons that I can't let Justin Herbert be in the top 5 is the same reason that Patrick Mahomes over the last 2 years hasn't looked like the number 1 quarterback in the league, even though he's gone to Super Bowls. But you can arguably say that last year, I'm not going to say that Patrick Mahomes is the reason they're winning. That's not what I'm going to say.
You said not for the same reasons as Herbert. Mahomes is always great in the playoffs. Obviously, he had the bad Super Bowl and he got whooped by Jalen Hurts.
Two bad Super Bowls.
Yeah, but again, the reason they're in this, the reason they're
5 years ago, Joe, get over it.
The reason they're in the Super Bowl is because Patrick Mahomes played great in the playoffs. Yeah, like that's why.
It has nothing to do with the top 10 defense or anything.
Yeah,
I mean, it has something to do with that.
He's been to Super Bowls without top 10 defenses too. And he's won Super Bowls without top 10 defenses.
And he played like a top quarterback in those. He did not play like that last year.
He didn't play like a top quarterback in the playoffs last year.
I said what I said.
He did not play like a top.
Okay, I don't know.
You better go back and watch the tape, kid. If you don't think Patrick Mahomes played like a top quarterback in the playoffs last year, you're tripping. And again, this is what we get confused. I think we turn into box score merchants and we just look at raw stats and say, oh, his raw stats weren't the best. That means he didn't play the best. Granted, those two things can be co-aligned. You can have bad stats and also have not played well. Ask Anthony Richardson. But again, those two things can also be separated. Patrick Mahomes was winning games last year because Patrick Mahomes is a smart football player. He knows what it takes to win games. He knows that, hey, if I put my team in this situation, I have this defense. I don't have to overexert myself here. I don't have to do this. I don't have to do that. I do need to do this. I do need to take my check down. I do need to check to this run right here. And he does that better than just about anybody in football. So I'm not going to penalize him for going 15-1. And granted, his numbers weren't the best, but he goes 15-1. He makes another Super Bowl. He plays great in the playoffs, and he just so happens to lose to a far better team. You know, I'm not going to penalize him for that. But again, in terms of Justin Herbert being in the freaking top 5, I am going to penalize him drastically for not producing in the playoffs at all. That's just how I feel.
That's a fair assessment to make. That's why I think the number 5 spot is more debatable. Like, if you wanted to get Justin Herbert out of there and throw in a Jaden Daniels, I'd 1000% be okay with that. But however, Jaden Daniels was his rookie year. So I can't really say, oh, 1 year he's in the top 5. I don't want to say that at all. I've seen Justin Herbert perform well when the game gets close. I've seen him perform well when games get tight. With that being said, look, in the playoffs, it hasn't worked out yet. I do believe it will. And when it happens, I think people are going to realize, oh yeah, this guy's definitely top 10. It's going to be a light bulb in their head. But right now, it's not for everybody. Not everybody that's.
I got him in the top 10, but he's 10. I got CJ Stroud, Baker Mayfield, Jaden Daniels, Matthew Stafford, all above him. I think all those guys are better than him right now. And
so I'm guessing they've all those guys performed in the playoffs. So I think playoffs matters a lot for you because
of course
Super Bowls.
They've all performed in the playoffs, and all those guys also performed in the regular season too. Like CJ Stroud didn't have as good of a year last year as he did his rookie year, but again, he still played better than Justin Herbert did in the playoffs. Baker Mayfield wasn't as great in the playoffs as he was in the regular season, but had a damn good regular season each of the last 2 regular seasons. And like Joe mentioned with Jaden Daniels, Jaden Daniels both regular season and playoffs, and Matthew Stafford, he's kind of ingrained into my top 10 at this point, just based on if he doesn't have the best regular season, I know he's going to perform when it matters most.
What I will say is that Jalen Hurts, in my opinion, hasn't he's had some fantastic Super Bowls. I'm not going to take away. He's outplayed Patrick Mahomes twice in the Super Bowl. However, it's not like he's been groundbreaking in the playoffs either. I'd say he's been good. He's been good for sure for the most part.
How about not awful?
That's fair. That's fair to say. That's fair for sure. However, in the regular,
quarterback.
All right. Let's.
Is that fair?
All right, that's fair. Whatever. Sure, that's fine. I still don't think Jalen Hurts is a good enough passer yet. I think of him as an average to good passer, an exceptional runner, in the best offensive system in all of football. And there's nothing, I'm not taking away from him at all. He's a top 10 QB. It's not disrespect. I don't think that's disrespect at all.
Hey, to each his own, but I don't know about these guys. I like guys who win and perform when it matters most, Joe,
these guys I don't understand how you have Patrick Mahomes at 4. It makes that I want to talk about that for a second. What the heck?
Sure.
Patrick Mahomes isn't Patrick Mahomes, as if
he was a 6th or 7th best quarterback in the playoffs.
He's had 2 subpar years, and in one of those subpar years, he went on to win a Super Bowl, mostly because of him. Some of it mostly because of him, not just the top 10 defense.
This is heading into 2025. I don't give a fuck about 2023, 2022, 2021, 2020.
You have to. You have
It
to.
is a what have you done it is a what have you done for me recently? We have seen this before. You either historically do it off of everything you've seen, in which case Jaden Daniels shouldn't even be in the top fucking 10 because he's only played one goddamn year. You shouldn't even have any rookies in the top fucking 15 because there are 15 quarterbacks you've seen more from and know more about.
Who's your number 5 again? Who's your number 5?
Jaden Daniels.
So
Jaden Daniels.
It's
literally, most
year.
Yards in the playoffs. Most touchdowns in the playoffs.
Fair.
One of the best touchdowns to INT ratios in the playoffs.
Fair.
So if you want to talk about playoffs, he did it. Okay, let's talk about winning.
Where was CJ Stroud? Where was CJ Stroud in his...
CJ Stroud had a shit year.
Hold on, time out. No,
he didn't look good.
At the end of 2024, at the end of 2023...
Heading into 2024, CJ Stroud was a top 5 guy.
He was a top 5 guy, and now he's outside that top 5?
He had a bad year. You can't. Okay, I'm going to be honest with you. You know how I do rankings? I don't do rankings based on. If I'm doing historic rankings, all-time rankings, sure, I take in the whole body of work. This is a year-by-year basis, people. Okay, you do not have to sit here and pander all the historics. Okay, you can agree that Patrick Mahomes had a down year and isn't number 1 heading into 2025 because someone had a better year and is set up to have more success. You can acknowledge that. And that's what I did. These guys don't like it because they're sitting there and they're like, Patrick Mahomes, no, I don't do that shit. Don't do it.
Listen,
not my
Joe,
stuff.
You're just in a business of having the weirdest top 5 every single year then. Like you're just going to have
it changes.
Is Cam Ward going to be top 5 if he leaves the Titans to the AFC Championship game? Is that what you're saying?
If Cam Ward wins the division, goes what Jaden Daniels did, has a above 65 completion percentage, has a really good turnover to INT ratio, very few turnover worthy plays, and takes that team with that talent to the fucking AFC Championship game, you're telling me he's not in your top 5? Have you seen what the Titans got?
Hold on. Time out. So I want to make this very clear. Coming into this, the year where the Commanders were one of the worst teams in the entire NFL, we thought. Jaden Daniels came in there, changed everything. I completely get that.
If Cam Ward does it, you have to consider him. Yes.
Hold on. Time out. So if Jaden Daniels has similar, let's say Jaden Daniels doesn't take the CJ Stroud slump. Let's say he doesn't take that and he continues to be great. You mean to tell me that Cam Ward, because Jaden Daniels is in the NFC.
He's going to move up the list.
He's going to move up the list. And Patrick Mahomes. So wait, Joe Burrow
Lamar can regress. Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes will drop. Absolutely. Josh Allen hasn't been a big playoff success, but we all said he's number 1 or number 2, right?
Josh Allen has been incredible in the playoffs.
He's been great in the playoffs.
He's run into to Mahomes. He's run into the boogeyman every single year. It's the bottom line. That is the standard. Patrick Mahomes is the standard, and it's saying a lot that I have Josh Allen above him. It's saying a lot. I have Josh Allen above him. However, if he wants to stay there, he's got to beat the boogeyman. He hasn't yet.
You know what I take into account when I'm ranking quarterbacks? Literally everything. I take all of it into account. I take into account what you did in the past. I take into account what you're doing now. I take into account what I think you're going to do in the future. I take into account your sporting cast. I take all of it into account. And my list is based on a lot of things. And again, I might more heavily weigh the playoffs than some people because, again, sorry for liking quarterbacks who win in the freaking playoffs and put up numbers in the playoffs. But again, the quarterbacks who do the best consistently in the playoffs are the ones that I like the most. Again, Lamar Jackson is so great that, again, his regular seasons bump him up a little bit on my list. But again, the rest of those guys really freaking ball out when it comes time to perform in the playoffs. So again, as you guys can see, we have wildly different opinions on what is a top 5 quarterback and where everybody is in the top 5 quarterback and what is not. So I want you guys to comment down below, say whose top 5 is right, and if not, give your top 5 as well down in the comments.
This has been Between the Uprights. Football is life. The rest is just details.